All right. Uh, Trump suggested that his plan for the Gaza Strip is to clean out the whole thing. You do realize that the people in Gaza live there, right, President Trump? Well, if we suggested cleaning out the White House, would you want to go? Because this is the same thing. You can't just suggest that a bunch of people who live somewhere should be cleaned out. That's almost the most horrible thing I've ever heard. If it weren't for Israel already doing a genocide over there, you're just going to suggest an ethnic cleaning. I got a story for this. There's a whole bunch of them. But who cares? What can you say? Clean out. You're talking about removing the Palestinians from their home to go to Jordan or Egypt or wherever. It has been suggested for many years that there should be a two-state solution. You are not making a two-state solution. I just don't know how. I mean, there's so much crap here. I'm just gonna have to stop concentrating on a news story and just reading y'all the whole news because it's all bad. I mean I don't even know what's in these stories, but the headlines are terrible. Florida Republicans defy DeSantis to push their own immigration bill. I don't know whether that's good or bad. DOJ fires officials involved in Trump prosecutions by special counsel Jack Smith. Yeah, there's one person that needs to be prosecuted. It's Donald Trump. Of course, he set up the Supreme Court saying that he's immune. So that's great. He's already got 34 felony count. Now, if you ask me, he's a war criminal. Suggesting ethnic cleansing. I'm sure Israel will just take that to heart. Then we've got Donald Trump saying that there's two sexes, male and female. He forgot about intersex people and trans folks. Oh no, he didn't forget about them. It's his purpose to make sure they don't exist. I'm not kidding, folks. It's bad. Elon Musk Doge accused of illegal job posting by federal workers union. Who knows what that's about? Border czar Tom Homan fires back at Selena Gomez. She looks pretty sad, doesn't she? No apologies are moving forward. No telling what this is. Scientists found evidence for a megaflood that shaped Earth's geological history. I hate to even bother clicking on that. Hundreds of U.S. visa appointments canceled to Colombia following spat with Trump over deportations. He said he was going to slap them with 25% tariffs, and sent some military planes down there with some immigrants to deport. They said, "Oh no, we're going to fuse those planes." Well, now that there's been a 25% tariff suggested, they're like, "Oh well, okay, maybe we'll let those land." Gazans crowd the road north, joyful but anxious. I just, how do you have any joy leaving your home? Auschwitz survivors mark Holocaust Remembrance Day 80 years after liberation. It's almost ironic, isn't it? While Israel is performing another genocide on Jews, survivors of Auschwitz are remembering another genocide 80 years ago. What about that? Israel says 8 of the remaining hostages to be released by Hamas in phase 1 of deal are dead. Oh, I suppose that means the ceasefire is probably not going to last very long, if they're not already out there shooting. I don't know. These down here, I just don't give a shit about. Dr. Phil embedded with immigration authorities during ICE action in Chicago. I just hate to even think about what the hell, Dr. Phil. Isn't he a TV personality? That's kind of a so what. I mean, do I bother commenting on these other non-political? Well, it's all politics in some way. SpaceX launches 21 Starlink satellites on Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral. Great. I love rockets. I'm real disappointed by Elon Musk, though. I still wish he'd make it with his trans daughter. I wish the hell he wasn't out there with this Doge agency, Department of Spending Less in America. I don't know. Earth has only 6 continents, not 7, according to a new study. Well, I'm skeptical of that. I think we've got more plates than we've got named continents, so I would expect there to be even more continents than 7. I don't know what's in news for nerds today. AI is too unpredictable to behave according to human goals. Is that right? U.S. solar boom continues, but it's offset by rising power use. Oh, there was one of these stories that said California was suffering with a problem of having too much solar. I think you could do something with that. Stored in batteries, perhaps. Shipped to Texas. They probably need some power. Software flaw exposes millions of Subarus, rivers of driver data. Well, that's great. UK Council sells assets to fund ballooning $50 million Oracle project. Oracle? I had a lifetime supply of dynamic DNS service. DYNDNS.org. I paid, I can't remember what the initial fee was. I think it was $20 for a lifetime supply of dynamic DNS service because they were new and they wanted fresh money. So I said, sounds like a good deal. mcarp.org. needs a DNS because, well, I don't have commercial service. So I had DNDNS.org DNS for years, at least 20. Oracle bought out DNDNS and killed the service. And all of us folks with lifetime service said, hey, wait a minute, we had lifetime service. Oh, yeah, sorry. Not anymore. So I had to switch to changeip.com. They got DDoS not long ago, and now there's a protection scheme in there that prevents some requests from making it through. I went to a DNS upchecker. About a quarter to a third of the planet has a big red X on it when they're trying to contact my website. I complained to my provider. They said, well, you can't expect everybody in the world to get your DNS populated. They're obscure anyway. Don't worry about those ones. The internet is global. If I got a DNS service, you should be able to populate all over. So they're not any good. My first inclination was GoDaddy, and I, for some reason, couldn't transfer it there. Just failed. So yeah, it became ChangeIP. I'm a little bit thinking that GoDaddy's not too great either. Facebook flags Linux topics as cybersecurity threats. Really? 2025 will likely be another brutal year for failed startups, data suggests. Dangerous temperatures could kill 50% more Europeans by 2100. Well, I'll be dead by then. Southern U.S. Good luck, Europeans. Google has open sourced the Pebble smartwatch OS. Well, I figure I'll never be able to afford a smartwatch, so I don't really care about that. Microsoft takes on MongoDB with PostgreSQL-based document database. That's hard to say all that. NVIDIA dismisses China AI threat, says DeepSeek still needs its chips. DeepSeek piles pressure on AI rebels with new image model release. Meta's AI chatbot taps user data with no opt-out option. J.D. Vance says big tech has too much power. I say J.D. Vance has too much power. I voted against him. There's a third article about DeepSeek. Meta sets up war rooms to analyze DeepSeek's tech. I don't know. I guess I would click on some of these if I were just reading the news by myself. I've lost my motivation. See, what is Florida Republicans trying to say to push their own immigration? See, what do Florida Republicans want to do with immigration? Florida's game on between Governor Ron DeSantis and the state's Republican lawmakers in a stunning rebuke to DeSantis, who was once floated as a Republican successor to President Donald Trump. Florida lawmakers on Monday gavelled in a special session called by the governor to help carry out Trump's aggressive immigration agenda. And then within minutes, gavelled out again, summarily tossing out the governor's proposals. Moments later, the chamber's Republican leaders called their own special session, ignoring some of the governor's asks and instead presenting their own sweeping immigration bill. Monday's State House showdown would have been unthinkable in years past, when DeSantis wielded power over the Republican-controlled legislature like no other governor in recent Florida history. Oh, he had so much power against Disney. Yeah. Let's see. The governor's proposals included punishing officers with criminal charges if they didn't enforce the measures and create a database to track people who send money to their families outside the U.S. Al Britton called the moves unconstitutional, said he would ask officers to violate the law. I wish they would just get right to it so I could find out what the Florida senators are proposing against DeSantis. I guess their allegiance to Trump is more stronger than DeSantis. Anyway, I've lost interest in that. Let's see. Let's go into this a little more. Trump signs executive orders for military focusing on transgender service members, COVID, and diversity. President Donald Trump signed multiple orders Monday that could reshape the management and composition of the military. And I still don't understand that. If you have volunteer members of the military, these are people who really want to be in the military. Why would you fire them? If you're passionate to serve in the military, it should be unheard of for you to get fired. That's just stupid. I also signed an executive order to establish a process to develop the administration is calling an American Iron Dome, a missile defense shield for the homeland. Iron Dome is the name used for Israel's system for intercepting rockets, which developed with U.S. support. One of the orders would reinstate members of the military who were discharged for refusing to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Oh, let's have unvaccinated military folks, but not trans military folks. Listen, y'all, when I went in the military in 1983, we had to go through the gauntlet. There were 3 stations you had to step into with an air gun on each side, each shoulder. Put an air gun up to your shoulder and went boom, boom with these vaccines. And each vaccine had a bunch of different medications in it for every disease we've killed off in the last several decades. And at the end, there were some miscellaneous shots that they couldn't fit into the current air guns. They said before you step in between them 2 air guns not to move your shoulder, or you would get just cut open by that air gun. It was true. I saw one of the guys in front of me moved and he got cut. They didn't ask us, hey, would you like to get these vaccines? So I'd love to know who these folks are in the military that were able to say, hey, we don't want that vaccine because we weren't asked. We were all marched in a row. There was about 81 or 2 of us in a company. It was boot camp, so maybe it's just you get a little bit more authority over yourself when you're not in boot camp. But I didn't see much after I got out of boot camp. Yeah, we didn't live in a room with 80 other folks, but we still had to get up when the bugle went off, and lights out was lights out. So I'd love to know who these folks are that refused COVID-19. Anyway, the president also signed an executive order directing the Pentagon to determine a policy for transgender service members based on readiness within 30 days. Again, if you've got volunteers, I'd say they're ready. If it was a draft and you had folks that didn't want to be there, okay. Maybe that wouldn't be surprising. The action doesn't immediately ban transgender service members. However, it does state the Defense Department's policy for troop readiness is inconsistent with medical, surgical, and mental health constraints on individuals with gender dysphoria. Will give them the health care they need and they won't have gender dysphoria. I guess y'all don't understand much about gender dysphoria, do you? Speaking about his plans at a retreat with House Republicans Monday at his property in Doral, Florida, Mr. Trump said, "To ensure we have the most lethal fighting force in the world, we will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military. It's going to be gone." What you're doing, Donald, is getting rid of volunteers who passionately want to serve in the military. You're doing it all wrong. You couldn't have a better military if you had a draft. People who volunteer for military service are the ones you want. Doesn't matter who they are. They volunteer for military service. You are firing some of the most interested in serving the military people that exist on the planet. Shame on you, Donald Trump. Shame. Another order addresses diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the military, banning the use of race or sex-based preferences in the armed forces, the Defense Department, and the Homeland Security Department. I ordered the end to all the lawless diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense policies across the government and all across the private sector of the military. Donald, do you know that when people were marching around saying that Black Lives Matter, they were saying it because they were less well recognized as equal. And until black people are as equal as white people, we should all be saying Black Lives Matter. And until there is diversity and inclusion and equality, we should all be trying to increase those three things. The only reason you need DEI, Donald Trump, is because we are not diverse. We are not equal, and we are not inclusive. It shouldn't be illegal to be diverse, equal, and inclusive. We're getting it out, and we've gotten it out pretty much. I doubt it. We did that in 1 week, and it wasn't that easy, but everyone wanted it. No! Everyone didn't want it. We want all of our human fellows to be equal to us. I am sick and tired of being white and cis and having to be grouped along with all of these people who hate trans and non-white people. It's embarrassing, really. It's just embarrassing as hell. But I am who I am. I'm also bi, and you want to use queer, I'll say that too. I think queer is a generic word for all of the LGBT. There are those who aren't sure what they want to label themselves, and so they can fit into the queer category. It doesn't matter who they are. They're all humans. So yeah, I'm bi and queer. And you want to eliminate me. Well, it's not as bad as how bad you want to eliminate trans people. I'm sick of hearing about that. I just don't even know if I can even go to bed sometimes because I feel so sad for what y'all doing to trans people. It's terrible. Under his order, the Defense Secretary and Homeland Security Secretary are to review the curriculum at the service academies and other academic institutions to ensure DEI and gender ideologies are eliminated. The president announced plans last week to end DEI initiatives across the federal government, and the Office of Personnel Management ordered federal DEI employees to be placed on leave. So, if you just happen to be black and female, and God forbid trans, they're pointing a finger, and you're probably going to get fired. But also, if you just happen to be black, you might get fired. And if you just happen to be a woman, you might get fired. And some of those people might legitimately be the best people for the jobs that they're filling. But because they're not white, cis, and a man, you're going to have them fired. You know, I don't know how you determine after you've hired all these people whether or not they're DEI hires. I guess the only people that are not DEI hires are white cis men. Everybody else is a group you don't care about. So I guess they're all DEI hires. Well, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I guess I'm going to title this whole video DEI hires at war or something. I don't know. because I wasn't sure what this video was going to be about really when I started it. But I'm really pissed about this eliminating DEI. And I've got a friend of mine out there who I won't name. He probably knows who he is if he's watching this video, who thinks that DEI is a bad thing. Well, if somebody used DEI to get rid of a certain airport, I think that's wrong. It might be righter than I agree to. Maybe that land is not benefiting downtrodden folks. I like airports though, and I think I hate for us to get rid of airports. It would be nice if a few more of us poor folks could use those airports. I can't afford $10,000 to learn how to fly an airplane. I sure would like to have done it. I don't know how I would have. Fuel's $150 an hour. I mean, you know, you're paying for your instructor too, but if you just want to go fly around, it's going to cost you $150 an hour in just fuel, regardless of whether the instructor is instructing you or not. So, yeah, I don't know. The more I talk about this, the more I think maybe there are some airports that would benefit some Hispanics if they were Hispanic apartments complexes instead of airports. I would be sad if this particular airport disappeared. I originally learned how to play flight sim on Meigs Field in Chicago, out in the lake there, and the mayor at the time sent some bulldozers to destroy Meigs Field while there were airplanes parked out there. A lot of those airplanes had to be shipped out. They couldn't take off. No more runway. But I didn't really get good at flying an airplane in flight sim until I was flying at this particular airport that I won't name. And when we did touch and go after touch and go after touch and go, and had another friend who would always come in and ask us where we were going. And we'd say, this airport to this airport. No, really, where are you going? This airport to this airport. I've flown 25 touch and goes, and I intend to fly another 25 touch and goes. So if you'd like to join us in the pattern for the next 3 or 4 hours, we're probably going to be flying from this airport to this airport. And if you happen to get a little bit better at putting your airplane down without burning your tires up, then you can thank us, because you didn't get in your automatic Airbus and push some buttons and end up in the middle of an airport because you forgot to turn your GPS off and follow the ILS. That person probably knows who he is too, but I'm not going to name him. Anyway, I guess if that airport disappears, it'll still be in an old version of flight sim. I don't think I could ever afford the modern flight sim. $200. Sure, it'd be nice to have all of that Google Maps scenery and a whole bunch of brand new shiny airplanes with shaders and stuff like that. I don't know whether my favorite airplanes are available. It didn't look like they were. T-34 Mentor Turbo Edition. Corsair F4U7. A P-40. There was a super smooth, we call it the Mind Reader, F-16 by Lagos. That's the flight sim airplane maker, not the actual in real life airplane maker. But I've only got one of those airplanes installed now because, I had a big library of airplanes, but they were on Drive D that went. And I doubt I'd ever be able to afford all those airplanes in Flight Sim 2024. So I guess it's just memories of times gone by. Now all I've got is a 4K television, 43 inches. It was super cheap at Walmart, $138. This is not a sponsored program, Walmart. If you'd like to sponsor me, that'd be fine. I would have never been able to afford a 4K monitor. Those things are $400 and $500 these days. But with this 4K TV, you get, if you can put up with the ads that pop up all the time, you get a nice 4K television. It just won't stay on HDMI. It just wants to complain about, you need to restart your television for an update so we can show you all these ads. The other day, my TV was turned off long enough that my computer, the left one, left, forgot about it, that screen. And so when I restarted the TV to get it back on HDMI, it said there was no input signal. Because the computer thought that HDMI output didn't exist. I've got another screen hooked up to that computer that if you turn it off, it's an old CRT, continues to be an output device. And the computer thinks it's still connected because it is. Well, this HDMI 4K TV is also connected. But the operating system of that television makes sure to not exist as an output device when the home screen comes up to show you their Zumo ads. And by the way, Zumo, XUMO, who tries to compete with Roku, who, according to the reviewers, are much worse than Roku. But I discovered one thing about Zumo. There's nothing free offered by Zumo that you can't already get on the internet. Because the news sites that are offer streaming on their website. It's not the news that everybody gets on their cable networks. It's basically highlights. So I can't watch the national news cycle the way people with cable news can. So whatever BS is going on cable news, I'm not privy to that. I have to get mine off the internet news sites that I can get hold of. And here lately, it's getting harder and harder because every stinking web news out there wants to be a pay for. It's not bad enough that they've got all the ads popping up, but they want you to pay for the news service and watch the ads. We used to have 13 channels of ad-driven television that we could watch, and we complained that the ads have gotten longer and longer and longer. Well, now we don't have those channels anymore because you have to pay $100 a month for cable service, cable TV service. You know, if it was $25 or $30 a month for cable TV service, it'd be worth it. You guys have made cable TV so expensive, we can't afford it. And just to watch the stuff I would like to watch on YouTube Premium would be $72 a month. That's approaching the $80 to $100 price it would be for cable service TV. I used to think that if you could go to a flea market, you know, you could find some good discounted products. I discovered in not too many years ago that there was a lot of stuff you could buy at the flea market that cost as much as stuff you could buy in the big box stores. They were thinking an awful lot about their used stuff. I found a video card that was 10 years old in a box store that was $200. And I looked up this same card being sold on eBay for $5 or $10. They thought an awful lot about their 10-year-old video cards. Well, I got a pretty good deal on some i7s. And so I'm basically using 3 i7 computers right now. I still got my old Core 2 Duo that needs to be dumped off, but I still haven't managed to get all my files off of there and Drive D. I don't know if I'll be able to get any of those back. But Windows 10 will be ending its support in October of this year, 2025. So we'll see how that turns out. Microsoft can't make up its mind whether it's going to allow old hardware. And geez, I didn't think i7s were that old. 2011 and 2013 are the 3 machines I've got. But I was using a dual core Pentium and a Core 2 Duo. They were both from 2008. And I couldn't run Windows 10 on those because it would be 50% CPU at idle. Thanks a lot, Windows. So I had to backgrade those to 8.1. I couldn't stay with Windows XP because everybody that upgraded their software said, we're not going to support Windows XP anymore. I mean, that's fine. I guess you think we can all afford brand new computers every year. Well, we'll just see what I can do with these i7s come October. Anyway, I sure have rambled an awful lot about next to nothing. And Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. That's cuckoo clock going off 4 minutes early. So yeah, my clocks are a little ahead. End Ramble. Love you. Bye.